Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Hopefully you're having a great day. And a quick shout out to my newest patrons, Dell and Nils. Greatly appreciate the support. So first up today, Mike Levine on Twitter this morning shared, "Love the new onboard scales for the Ford F-150. This is actually a very cool feature, so well done Ford." So if you take a look and zoom in, as you can see, it looks like 2 out of the 4 lights are lit up, meaning you have about half of your payload capacity left. Now, in case you're wondering, well, what about the people or the passengers? Because that is indeed included in total payload capacity. Mike said you can actually incorporate the passenger weight in the sync screen. The truck knows its max payload, you input the passenger weight, and then you see the load in the back. Crazy smart. So very well done by Ford. I think this is an awesome feature, and honestly, hopefully Tesla swipes this one or something like it from Ford, just like every other automaker has done from Tesla for seemingly the last 10 years. Next up, there's been a lot of debate on new paint colors coming out of Giga Berlin, possibly. So with regard to the deep crimson, Tesla owners online shared this picture, which is most likely that color and what it will look like if indeed deep crimson is an option, which I think most of us think that it will be, and Elon did drive around a car just like this for some time, so keep an eye out for this type of paint color from Giga Berlin. Next up, a cool fun fact here, the Iceland supercharger ring is now complete. Ring Road is now drivable with the longest distance being 159 miles, 256 kilometers between chargers. And you can see on the map, you can essentially drive around the whole island with the longest gap you have being about 160 miles. A quick update for anyone in Smithstown, New York. This Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the Tesla Smithtown First Anniversary Bash. Meet Tesla owners, enter some raffles, and do some other cool stuff. The event is free and open to the public. I've included the registration link below if you're in the area. Once again, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. October 17th. Next up, Elon has put his Bay Area home up for sale again. Yes, this was listed last year, but then he took it down and now he's putting it back up with a slightly lower listing price. So it's relisted for $32 million. It's located just south of San Francisco. And this time around, Elon appears to be going through Mary and Brent Gullickson, a realtor team with Compass. Next up, we get into the latest round of Tesla versus NHTSA. I think we've all lost track of what round we are in. This will be ongoing for some time. But now, NHTSA wants to know why Tesla didn't file recall documents when it updated autopilot software. And before we get into the details, this is probably a non-starter. I think many people will make a bigger deal of this than it really was. Essentially, Tesla just didn't file proper procedure for handling the situation, but let's get into it. In a letter to Tesla, NHTSA said it must recall vehicles if an over-the-internet update deals with a safety defect. So any manufacturer issuing an over-the-air update that mitigates a defect that poses an unreasonable risk to motor vehicle safety is required to timely file an accompanying recall notice to NHTSA. Essentially, Tesla didn't file this recall notice. They didn't let NHTSA know about this over-the-air update where they made improvements to that emergency vehicle detection. I think part of the problem here is we are really into uncharted territory with Tesla's new features, FSD on city streets, and over-the-air software updates, a feature that most other automakers don't have at all, let alone be able to implement an update like this. And the truth is there's going to be plenty of safety defects that, Tesla is working on and solving for in this FSD iteration where other automakers don't have those features at all. So for example, let's just say Tesla takes left turns at green lights too aggressively, just as an example. Well, other automakers can't do that at all. So if NHTSA comes out and says, well, you know what, Tesla, that's actually a safety defect because you're updating it and fixing the situation, well, then does that become a safety defect for the other automakers that don't have that feature at all, let alone the ability to improve it? So I think you can see how this can easily get into a gray area moving forward. But NHTSA has asked Tesla whether it intends to file recall documents. If not, please furnish Tesla's technical and/or legal basis for declining to do so. And NHTSA is saying that a public recall allows owners to make sure the repairs are done, and so people buying cars are aware of potential safety problems. But Tesla has to comply with the request by November 1st or face court action and civil fines of more than $114 million. Moving on, GM scored a big win with regard to LG. They will be reimbursed seemingly $1.9 billion for their expenses with regard to fixing the Chevy Bolts. LG has agreed to reimburse GM up to $1.9 billion to recall and fix Chevy Bolt EVs, Fixing the vehicles, including completely replacing some batteries entirely, is expected to cost $2 billion. Next up, we get into this quiet Tesla partnership that started last year that is now finally paying dividends. The New Caledonian miner Prony Resources announced that the EV maker Tesla has agreed to purchase 42,000 tons of nickel in a multi-year deal. And during a news conference, Prony's CEO said Tesla is now the mining company's largest client to date. Now, there's not a lot of specifics about this deal, but that 42,000 ton volume could vary. But part of the reason that this deal even happened in the first place is because Tesla was serving as an advisor on the product and sustainability standards for Prony. So if we go back to March earlier this year, Tesla, being a technical advisor to the mine, would be able to acquire long-term nickel supply on the project as part of an agreement with the New Caledonian government. And also back from March, so Trafigura, this commodity group, helped to broker this new deal, but they did hold a 19% stake in the property, and Tesla, as you can see, was listed as a technical and industrial partner. So simply put, the way you should understand this is that Tesla is basically a giant Pac-Man scooping up all of these available resources, especially the nickel, which is needed for these longer range vehicles, the Semi, the Cybertruck, the Roadster. Whereas these other companies are trying to improve their range, they're gonna eventually hit a limit when it comes to LFP and that type of technology. So Tesla is way down the supply chain, scooping up all of this available nickel that's being mined responsibly, while everyone else, to my knowledge, isn't even close to doing something like that. And to give you some context, LME nickel prices have risen some 20% over the past 12 months and are currently trading at $19,100 per ton. If Tesla buys 44,000 tons, doing the math, that's about an $802 million deal. Now, yes, Tesla's probably getting discounts to some degree for a multi-year deal and locking in prices, etc., but just to give you a rough approximation. And lastly, Tesla has agreed to purchase almost the entire new planned nickel output of this mine. Giant Pac-Man scooping up all of the resources. Next up, Jay Leno took a pre-production Hummer on a little test drive. Very short video, 4 minutes long. Nothing really revolutionary. They talked briefly about the crab walk feature. Linked below if you want to check it out. Next up, from The Observer, Tesla Model 3 is the most popular used car in America and at a hefty price. In September, a gently used Tesla Model 3, which they define as 1 to 5 years old, took an average of 16 days to sell, faster than any other vehicle surveyed by iSeeCars. The number of days in a Model 3 typically stayed on the market is only half the time it took to sell an average used car, according to the study. In September, an average used Tesla Model 3 sold for $47,400. Now, this says that the Model 3 starts at $37,600, but that's with the incentives. Without, right now, it's actually $42,000 for the cheapest standard range Model 3. And that's without any additional features. So part of this is some people want their Tesla now, rather than if you have to buy a new car, you're gonna be waiting into next year. And also part of it is just the supply shortage when it comes to used cars as well. And just to be fair, the prices for almost all brands' used cars are inflated at the moment, but as you can see, Teslas are moving more quickly than other automakers. Next up, Herbert Diess with some more eye-opening comments, as he has called for almost 30,000 positions on the supervisory board to be cut, saying in competition with the competition, the company's costs would no longer be right. This restructuring of the VW group could call into question every fourth position in the core brand at Volkswagen. And a Volkswagen spokeswoman said, "There is no question that we have to deal with the competitiveness of our plant in Wolfsburg in view of the new market participants." And so look, I'm never going to root for anyone to lose their job. It's unfortunate, they have families and mortgages and all of that, but this is a part of life. It's been happening since the beginning of time. Things change, companies come and go, so you have to adapt and move on. Take me, for example. I was let go from a startup a few years ago, and I kind of got screwed. It's a long story, but the point being, it turned out to be the best thing career-wise that ever happened to me, because ultimately it led to me starting a YouTube channel. And it's great life advice to stay flexible, be open to new opportunity, get comfortable with change, and learn to play the hand that you're dealt as well as you can. But next up, a fun anecdote here. So there were more Tesla Model 3s registered in Germany than the leading domestic models like the BMW 3 Series, Audi A4, and Mercedes C-Class combined. With 6,800 newly registered Model 3s, this was ahead of Audi, which sold 900 units of 6 main combustion engine lines combined. BMW sold some 3,003 series and Mercedes sold around 2,200 C-Class, meaning the three German car makers reached 6,100 new registrations combined in the Model 3 category, without Giga Berlin. And to send you guys off today, Tesla is trading at $811 per share. We'll talk a lot more about this on Friday. That is all. Thank you guys for watching. Please like the video if you did. Hope you have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.